Hi everyone, welcome back to JavaScript 101, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the switch statement. So the switch statement is another type of conditional, but it actually is constructed a little bit differently. So I'm just going to dive into an example here. So I'm going to create a variable called status here. I think I'm going to use the const status equal 200. I'm going to give a value of 200 and I'm going to create a switch statement here. So you use the keyword switch, and in parentheses you're going to look at the variable status. So we're going to put a curly brace block here, and then in the block we're going to put all our conditions. So unlike the if statement, the switch statement uses something called a case. So we're going to build a case here. So we're going to say case, I'm going to say case 200. So basically what we're doing here is we're looking at the status variable here, and if the status has a value of 200, we are going to execute a specific code. So I'm going to just log console log the text okay. So that is for case 200. So I'm going to create another case. I'm going to say case 404, and I'm going to execute a code that says not found here. So in the switch statement here we have two cases and we need a default case. So a default case is basically something like your if statement. So if the status value is not 200 or is not 404, we can actually log something. We're going to execute something. So we're going to say console log status unknown. So this is your switch statement here. So we have two cases, one for 200 and the next one for 404, and a default case here. So I'm just going to run this code and let you see the output. And as you can see here, it actually executes all three messages, and that's because in a switch statement there is another requirement here. So for each case you need to break the loop here. So you need to use the break keyword to break the loop. So this will break. So if let's say the status is 200, and then it executes the code, and then it will break. And the same thing we should do for the 404 case here. And the default case, you don't need to put the break statement there. So if you run this code again, you can see there, okay, we are going to log the message okay, just as we intended to do so. So this is your switch statement here. So another thing to note is that if you're putting a case, it's going to look at the value very strictly. So if you are going to say case 200 and it's a number 200, it's only going to look at the value as a number. So if you have a case and you put it as a string and the variable is actually the number 200, it's not going to execute the way you actually put. So it's going to give you the default message here. So we run the code and it says status unknown. So you have to make sure it's the exact value and the exact data type. So that is your switch statement. And the next thing I want to show you is how do you group cases together. So for example, you have two cases, but you want to execute the same code for the two different cases. So I'm going to create another case. It says case 1000, and it says here case 1000, and then the next line is case 404. So this is what we call grouping cases together. These two cases will execute this log message console not found. So I'm going to just show you 404 says here not found, and then if we put 1000, it's going to say not found again. So that's how you group your cases together. So this is another type of conditional, is a switch statement. So when do you actually do something like this? If for example you have a requirement that has a few different conditions, like for example if you have a loop, an if statement like if status has a strict equality, this is very important, it's a strict equality, and then maybe you have another case, status is equals to 400, and then you have an else statement So if you have something like this, and maybe you have about at least 3 cases, that including the default case, then maybe you want to look at the switch statement as something you want to use. So if you have, for example, more complex conditionals, like you're using greater than sign, or something like status is greater than 200, you might want to use, you have to use the if statement. That's when you use the if statement. So that is the switch statement. So I've come to the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your notifications. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about logical operators. So I'll see you in the next video.